It's not easy for people from different cultures and languages to live together. Many of our students, at least a certain percentage, have to first study English and improve their English so that they can eventually attend college classes. And so they have to really learn how to, and be corrected and struggle and eventually go into a classroom in which there are lots of demands placed on them. So one of the things is to recognize the difficulties of living together and of studying a common language. And then there are the challenges of simply doing things differently, seeing things differently. Many of our students come from other cultures and languages, and so for them, even the American culture is a bit different or not always easily understood. And those who are Americans have to learn that, where everything's not just like in the United States. Well, people live differently in Vietnam or in Myanmar or in Guatemala or some other part of the world. And one of the things you learn is that you learn to appreciate other people's viewpoints, other people's differences, the things that we all can kind of contribute to being a community, even with so many differences.
Well, for me, I guess a universal church is about a worldwide community. It's the fact that Catholicism is maybe expressed differently, but in its essence, the same worldwide. I've had a chance to visit a few other countries and attend Mass in the Caribbean, in Canada, in Mexico, in Rome, and some other places, and it's very similar. It's at home, despite the language differences. So even here in the United States, I've attended Mass in Spanish, in Vietnamese, in French, been in Haiti in Creole, and the flow of the liturgy is the same. I might not be able to understand the homily, for example, but the flow of the liturgy is the same. And for me, that's universal. It's a community that we're able to worship together in the same format. A real unique moment for me was my first trip to Haiti, and I was tapped to carry up the Book of the Gospels during the Alleluia, and they did it in procession from the back of the church in kind of a two-step dance, and so I get to carry the Book of the Gospels and dancing with several people around me, and get to the center right before the altar and turn around 3 times holding up, and the music is loud, and the people are excited and people are clapping, and it was just a very praise worship moment, and I was a part of that. It was a special moment to be invited to have that honor of carrying up the Book of the Gospels.
Yes, the first thing that came to my mind was our universal church is amazing. We have done tremendous work to reach out to many people. And let me be more specific in what I'm saying, using my own experience, first in Argentina and later on here in the United States of America. I think the universal church, in particularly where I was, in a city called Misiones, Argentina. And Misiones translated as missions, Argentina. So I was there, and the Universal Church in Argentina, Catholic Church, has been making every effort to respond to the daily realities of its faithful. And not only respond, but really in tune to what the people need. At the same time, more and more now, even today, the church in Argentina continue to reach out to the young men and young women of our church today and call them back to the spiritual. And so one time in this encounter where as a young missionary, I came to their home with my Bible, thinking that I can open to this particular verse. He said, no, let's talk. And I said, okay. So I closed the Bible, and so we simply talk about life. And then from that moment, I learned that these people were just like me in terms of their faith. They want to be loved, and they want to love. And they want the church, and as my young seminarian, I represent this presence of the church, where in the rural area, we don't often see a lot of priests and seminary would come to this part of the rural area in Argentina. So I came with them in openness, in joy. And so they taught me how to drink tea, they taught me their culture.
I mean, the Catholic Church from the very beginning is universal, and it has always marked a great diverse in a variety of God's gift, and also the diversity of the people who receive them. So the unities and the diversity is always they are reality of the church. But for me, before I came here, I learned it on the book. So it felt like contradictory to myself. The two is really hard to exist together, unity and diversity. But then when I came here, my eyes just really open, because it is right here in this small space that I can see people from all over the world, from different cultural backgrounds, but we are sharing the same faith, and we expressing the same faith and the same liturgies in a different cultural expressions. So it's just amazing.
But over there, we do have mass in different language, but not in the same mass. For example, on a week we have five days. So weekdays. And Monday we have Guyang, which is a name from a small tribe in the States. And the second day we have Tuesday we have Burmese, which is the official language in Burma. And on Wednesday, since today most young men or women try to learn English, we do have mass in English and say rosary in English. And on third day, the church still keep the tradition, like they say some priests say mass in Latin. So we sing hymns in Latin. And on Friday we usually have go back to Guyang, which is the native language there, most people. Well, first, in order to understand that, I want to share the tribes over there. In the States, we call Karenni state first. Then we have Karenni people, we have Guyang, we have Gayor, and we have many different other tribes also among Guyang, like Guyang Latak, Guyang Laklek, Guyang Kakngang. So there are so many. So each village, they have different language and different background, different tribes of people. So if the priest true to the village, then they say mass according to that language.